"It is not done," rasped Zorez. Olrem rounded on the sorcerer.
"What do you mean?"
"It slept for centuries here in the dark. We must complete the job." His voice was ragged and failing. Olrem crouched beside the sorcerer, setting his sallet aside.
"What happened to you?"
"It was feeding on me. Inevitable. Bring me the jar." He slapped lamely at the side of the altar. Olrem shook his head, but obeyed. The jar was surprisingly light. He set it beside Zorez, who had worked himself into a sitting position. His ancient, knobbled hands trembled terribly as he pried off the lid. Olrem looked inside. Something more liquid than light emanated a pale blue light. It seemed to swim back and forth. "Take it!"
"What?"
Zorez coughed, and spittle mingled with his blood bubbled on his lips. He gasped for breath. "His soul, excised and hidden, right under our feet. Without it, he can never return to life. Smother it."
"Tell me the truth, Storm Rider. Who was your master?"
"He was like you, an inheritor. Yanpos the Elder Flame, first of my order."
"Is he dead?"
"Yes, but others like you walk the earth. Take it, Olrem. Please, finish it." Olrem looked at the shriveled, headless corpse, at the dying ember of the strange heart. He doubted that the Lich was coming back this time. Yet he had come so far. He had no choice but to finish the job. He reached into the jar and caught the slippery thing within. It was cool to the touch. He held it up before his face. A soul? It seemed a formless, scrawny thing, no more than a little captured breath. Scowling, he crushed it in his grip. A whistling scream broke through the dark chamber, and only the light of Olrem's ring held the shadow at bay. The sepulchre began to rumble. Zora's bony hand clutched at him. Olrem leaned close, looking into the sorcerer's murky eye, blinded now with cloudy cataracts. "Master yourself," he whispered, "and master the ring. Seek the truth." The clamor of the cavern coming down around them grew deafening. He made to haul Zorez up by the robes. He reckoned they could make it to the corridor, at least. But the old sorcerer grabbed Olrem by the wrists, resisting. His blind eyes wept sooty tears.
"You promised me an equal share of the reward, damn you!"
"As I die, so you live. Equal. Ride the storm, slayer." Olrem growled and fought, but the old man held up his hand. He had seen that gesture before, back in the cavern. A blinding flash of light engulfed him, swallowing space and mind, scribing his flesh and soul into a single streak of brilliant, terrible power. He hit the ground outside painfully, and bounced to a stop. Battered and bruised, Olrem wasted no time shoving himself to his feet. Of Zorez there was no sign. Brave Blade lay on the smoking scree next to him. Where the bolt of lightning had struck, the ground glowed cherry red. By the stars, he thought with a grimace, it was fortunate that he had not impaled himself on the sword. Yet even as he snatched the blade up, he noticed the gravel was vibrating, shifting and turning little dances back and forth. The quaking grew worse, and something gave in the ground below. Pale dawn bit through gauzy clouds overhead. Beneath it, the remains of Iron Nathar, the gates of the dead, the dread black spire of the dead tongue, collapsed in on itself like a rotting fruit, splashing huge stones and boulders across the field that surrounded it. Olrem ran, head tucked low. After a few chancy moments, it was over. Where once that wretched place had stood like a cairn marking the grave of something unholy and vile, now all was flat, returned to the earth, and silent. A vast column of smoke and dust stood above devastation. Olrem caught his filthy, bloody reflection in Brave Blade's scuffed surface. The job was done, then. He had his freedom, and Zora's Storm Rider was dead. He looked west towards where the sea lay, across the lifeless waste of this perished land. Somewhere his fate awaited him across many miles and many years, but he would never again know one such as a sorcerer who banished the dead tongue. Silently, Orm knelt and gathered some stones. He built a humble pile and stood back, surveying his work. The cairn was small, but it would serve. Master yourself. Seek the truth. Perhaps he would head up the coast toward Akariath. Orm set forth to find his fortune and ride the storm. Thank you for listening to The Storm and the Blade by L.R. Knight and read by Uncle Lyle.